Okay. I guess I've sort of been a slacker. I don't know what happened yesterday. There was just a lot of people kept on coming to the house at different times, so I never got the break that I normally get. And by the time everybody left, I was ready to just lie down and relax. Um, and then today, I wound up in a car accident in the middle of a dust storm, and I guess it made the national news. I have no idea how many cars were involved in the pileup. Must have gotten through it early, and I just think I need my fender replaced. It's not too bad, but it was a mess. And we're getting a little bit of weather out here. So today we are on lesson number 306, the gift of Christ is all I seek. That I have to laugh because having had a day such as I had today involving a car accident and so many other things I get to do, you start to really, all I really want is what my Father created me to have, and all I really want to be is what my Father created me to be. And anything else makes absolutely no sense whatsoever any longer. So lesson 306, the gift of Christ is all I seek today. And remember, we're looking at this, and we're looking at the section called the second coming. Second coming is something that, of course, we want to hasten. And the way we hasten is through utilizing our mind miraculously and joining with our brother and offering our brother the remembrance of the unity consciousness, the unity and the harmony of who we are as perfect whole parts of our Father's never-ending, eternal, and infinite creating reality. But there's something in this today that, in this lesson, that sort of speaks to something that I was actually thinking about in terms of how this works, how at this point in time we're being given these times in the morning and in the afternoon, and because of the way our minds have been trained over the course of the year to look on everything through forgiveness and understanding based on experiences that we've had of the Holy Spirit, as well as the implementation of the recognition that there is this theoretical framework that helps us understand when we have experiences that offer us parallel understandings, parallel, how would I say this? This is something that, and I know many of you have had this experience. You'll be going along in your life, and all of a sudden, it's as if bleeding through, there's the remembrance of a very similar occurrence, wherein which you can begin to understand more about yourself, more about your situation, and the remembrance of, and what this calls an ancient memory. It brings with it an ancient memory. You remember backwards, in a sense, into an alignment with what's already occurred. And there's this sort of emerging, and there's this borderland within your own consciousness. There's a borderland of thought. And in that borderland of thought, the remembrance of heaven is bleeding through, and the fading of the world, the fading away of the world in your recognition as a reality is taking place. And much as though I talk about sometimes a split in our minds, how we bring the split in our mind to a single focus, it's much like that. We're bringing everything into the entire occurrence is coming into a singular focus. What but Christ's vision would I use today when it can offer me a day in which I see a world so like to heaven that an ancient memory returns? So we've forgiven ourselves sufficiently to utilize each day in the rising up and the allowance. Let me try to put it this way. What rises up is the spirit of who we are. The Spirit of God is one. The Spirit of God as oneness begins to rise up into our awareness, as well as the brightness and the power of the soul that God created us to be begins to allow us to have feelings or experiences of self, which is a better way to put it, because they surpass, like the peace of God which surpasseth human understanding. The experience we have, albeit they contain an emotional component, begin to surpass the experiences we had that involved human emotion, because now the power and recognition of our own divinity of the soul is peeking through, because our forgiven mind, where we have let go of fear and guilt, is no longer afraid of reality, no longer afraid of God, is no longer afraid of love, or is less afraid in the sense that it's had increments of recognition or attainment of what love is, an experience of love or an experience of peace. It's had instances of recognition of those experiences with the certainty of what they are, which is eliminating or helping, aiding and abetting the loosening of the world from what we thought it was, because we're allowing ourselves to no longer be afraid of who we are and the power and truth of our soul as eternal and infinite become part of an experience that enlivens us and presents, let's call it a divine emotionality that surpasses, the emotions, the dualistic emotions of the human condition. And there's this bleed through. So as we allow our soul to rise up and the Spirit of God to rise up into our awareness, the distance that has to be bridged between where we are and where we thought heaven used to be begins to lessen, because heaven is here and heaven is now. And there is no distance and time and space between who we are here and who we are in heaven, because here bleeds through and begins to bring, what would be the right word, heralds. There's heralds of our reality, even within space and time. And this borderland of thought tends to be a condition, a space of timelessness, wherein which time gives way to eternity, and the things of time all give way, not in conclusions based on space and time, but a conclusion a conclusion based on the recognition of our divinity, and the non-existence or unreality of space and time. So when it can offer me a day in which I see a world so like to heaven that an ancient memory returns to me, and many of you I know have had the experience where you can feel the return in your heart and your mind, where there feels like there's this descending memory as we ascend toward the memory, and we live in the borderland, the bridge. Today, I can forget the world I made. Today, I can go past all fear, be restored to love and holiness and peace. Only today. It's always only today. Jesus is always only bringing us into the single day, the only day we have. The past does not exist. The past is gone. The future is yet to occur. So therefore, it is not either. It's neither. So we're in this present moment. And in the present, now, without a past and no necessity for a future, okay, we can forget the world because there's nothing left to be responsible for in the world. And we've given over our ability to respond to the call that God issues to us. Today I am redeemed and born anew into a world of mercy and of care, of loving kindness and the peace of God. Why? Because you recognize there is only a single reality.